Good morning. So, did you wake up this morning and check your Powerball ticket? But guess what? You're going back to work because I bet that you did not win. Well, stay tuned and I'll tell you why you didn't win the $2 billion Powerball lottery last night and what you can do in the future to make yourself feel good the next morning. So, let's try to explain first of all why were people so excited about this particular Powerball jackpot? I went ahead and downloaded all the data from the last year or so and went ahead and made this graph for you, and it really explains where all the hype comes from. Okay, so starting here back on November 2021, you see that there was a Powerball where people were playing, nobody was winning, nobody was winning. Finally, somebody won, and it went back to zero. That's why you see this sharp decrease that comes right back down here. And then the same thing happened. It repeated, several more times. And here's this run. We started here August 3rd, it looks like, and every week, twice a week, it kept going and going and going. Nobody was winning. And then right around $500 million, it just exploded exponentially. And it became the world's largest Powerball lotto. In fact, I think it breaks the Guinness Book of World Record for the largest national lottery jackpot ever. And here's the other thing. This data stopped last week. I haven't added the new point because I haven't looked at the data this morning. But when I went to bed last night, it should ended right here at 1.9. So really the line at very least came up, up to 1.9. And for all I know, it probably expanded above 2 billion. But I'll give you guys an update on that in the comments below. But that's why people were excited. They saw this as a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity of being able to pay $2, buy one ticket, and become a multi-billionaire overnight. Unfortunately, I guarantee you that's not what's going to happen. And this is why. I'll give you all the evidence as to maybe this Powerball was a little bit hyped up too much. Let's check it out. So I'm willing to bet that most people have seen this prize chart. This is something that on some of the states' tickets, you can flip your ticket over on the backside. You'll see a chart, something like this, or sometimes it's even described in words. But if you go to the website, you could definitely find this prize chart out. And people really focus in on this first column. Okay, they want to know how much money are they going to win, right? If I spend my $2, my hard-earned money, how much money do I have to potentially win? And according to this chart, it looks like the least amount of money that I could win is $4. I mean, they didn't print $0 there at all. I mean, it's $4. And look at this. I only have to get one red ball. Okay, so that seems pretty easy. But then they look at this column over here, the Powerball odds, and it's some big numbers. I would probably guess that most Americans really don't know how to interpret the odds. They see the word odds, doesn't make a whole lot of sense. But basically, this is saying that you have 1 in a 292,201,338 chance of actually winning this particular prize, the grand prize, okay? But still, that's a large number, but people don't really realize how big of a number it is. It's just the way the odds are printed here, it's just really weird. Unless you go to the horse track or you're really into betting in the sports books, it probably doesn't make a whole lot of sense when they print things out like that. So I went ahead and I decided to calculate all these out and give you guys a percentage, what percent chance of winning do you really have. And let's go take a look at it. So there you go. I went ahead and calculated the Powerball odds, but what I did is I converted it into percentage. And I'm hoping that most Americans are going to be able to interpret this and understand their odds of winning or not winning by relating it to a percentage. And I went ahead and calculated the percentage of the chance that you'll win and the percentage of chance you'll lose. And hopefully when you start looking at these numbers, you can realize why you're going back to work today and why you didn't win the Powerball last night. So let's go ahead and take a closer look at this chart. So for the grand prize, that was here. So if you get all 5 white balls plus the red ball, the way they phrase it is that you have 1 in a 292 million chance of winning. But when you convert it, that comes to less than 1%, and it's dramatically less. I think this is like 7 decimal points away from the first digit. So it's 0.0000034% chance of winning. But the way I like to see it is, what percent chance of losing is it? It's 99.9999966% chance of losing, okay? People, what are you guys thinking? I mean, if you ever go to Vegas and you're sitting at any table, any blackjack table, any slots machine, anything, and you saw a sign saying if you play this game, you have a 99.9999996% chance of losing, would you have gone to Vegas? Would you play that game? Probably not. So why are you playing the lotto? It makes no sense. Okay, let's take a look at a few of these other prizes. They had a prize here for $1 million. The chance of losing on that is 99.9999914 chance of losing. Why? Why would you spend your hard-earned $2 to buy a ticket in which you know that you're for certain going to lose? All right, we keep going down, and we see that you basically have 99% chance of losing for most of the games, except for the last 2. At least you have a little bit of a realistic chance of winning. So the last 2 is if you get 1 white ball and 1 red ball, you have about a 1.08% chance of winning. And then that winning is about $4, okay? But you really don't win $4 because remember, you spent $2 to buy the ticket. Okay, so you're recouping those costs, and really you're only up $2. Okay, so remember that. And on top of that, you only have 1% chance of winning. Now, what about if you just get the red ball, the Powerball? Okay, you have a chance of making $4 again. Really, it's not 4, it's just $2. But you have 2.6% chance of telling your friends, hey, I won that $1 billion jackpot. Yeah, no, you didn't. You just won $4. And then once you account for the money that you put into it, you only won $2. So you're a chump. You're not a winner, you're a chump. Anyways, so I've always thought this is kind of funny because the lotto, whoever runs the lotto and the Powerballs and all that, they print the odds there, and I think they do it to try to confuse the public. And they should really print, if they were honest, is the chance that you will lose, okay? Because I guarantee you, if they put that 99.9999966% chance of losing, nobody would play this game. Absolutely nobody would play it. Okay. So I really want to show you with this particular graph that there's also something very misleading, and I think that the guys who produce the Powerball and run it and so forth are a little bit dishonest here, because they're really not telling you the entire story. They don't tell you all the chances that you'll win with certain combinations, and they don't tell you all the chances of you losing, okay? So let me show you what I mean. There's a pattern here, okay? So if you look up here and you see the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 white balls and the Powerball, you win the grand prize, right? If you don't get that Powerball, but you still get those 5 white balls, you still get a little bit of money. That's like $1 million right there. Now, so when you drop down 1 white ball, you have 4 white balls plus a red ball, you win some money. Just 4 white balls, you win some money. 3 white balls and a Powerball, you win some money. 3 white balls, you win some money. But here's where the pattern is a little bit misleading. So if you pick 2 white balls and a red ball, you win some money. But what if you won 2 white balls? Okay, you see, they don't have that here. They just totally left it off the chart. Okay, and I went ahead and put the 2 white balls here, and depicting that they didn't even put that there. Well, if you get 2 white balls, you don't get any money. You don't get $2, you don't get $4, you get $0, okay? Same thing here with the 1 white ball. You have 1 white ball and the Powerball, you win some money. But what if you just got 1 ball, 1 white ball? Okay, you get nothing. And then, of course, if you just get the Powerball, you win a little bit of money. And the very last one, it's kind of intuitive, but they do leave it out because they don't want to show you the negatives of playing this game. And that's if you have no white balls and no Powerball matches. Well, of course, that makes sense. You have no chance of winning any money because you didn't match anything, and rightfully so. But the other two, the two white balls and the one single white ball, that's missing from the chart. I feel that it's misleading because it doesn't tell you what are the odds of winning or losing. So never fear, I'm here. I'm going to fix this chart once again. Hold on, we're going to see it on the next chart, and we'll talk about it. So here we are. I fixed the chart, and as you can see, I've inserted the two white balls. I've inserted the one white ball and the third option, which is you didn't get any balls, white or red or whatever, okay? I went ahead and I highlighted these yellows because there are odds of getting two white balls. However, the lottery, the Powerball people said, no, we're not going to pay out on this whatsoever, okay? So they forced a definition upon this probability, and that definition is that you have zero probability of winning, 0% chance of winning. Or, thought of another way, you have 100% chance of losing. There's no way you're going to win that, okay? Now, granted, if you get two balls, just one is a white ball and one is a red ball, you do get a chance of winning at least a few bucks there. Same thing with the white ball. There is an odds of winning. It's mathematically not 1-to-1. However, the Powerball people force that definition upon you, okay? They say you are absolutely not going to win anything, so you have 100% chance that you will lose that, okay? And of course, the one that makes the most logic, if you don't get any white balls or any red balls, this one, of course, you absolutely should lose because you didn't pick anything. You didn't do anything. And that's, of course, there's a 100% chance that you will lose, okay? Now, interestingly, they don't present you this chart because this chart really shows that here you have 99% chance of winning by getting 5 and one Powerball. And it's pretty much 99%, but then it jumps up to 100%, then down to 98%, and then it jumps up to 100%, and then 97%, and then 100%. Man, if you see numbers like this anywhere in Las Vegas, you would not be playing the Powerball. Why? Why would you play it? It makes no sense, okay? All right, so a couple of things as to why I think they left those out and why they force those particular winnings at 100% chance of losing. I have an idea as to why that is, and I'll show it to you on the next slide there. Okay, so let me tell you why I think that the Powerball people leave those outcomes off the charts completely, okay? So let's just take a look at the 3 most common outcomes that occur when you play Powerball. Okay, the most common outcome is that somebody plays and they don't get any of the regular white balls and they don't get the Powerball. That happens 65% of the time. The next common scenario is when you get one white ball and none of the Powerballs. That happens about 27% of the time. And finally, when you get 2 white balls and you don't get the Powerball, that happens 3.5%. You add that up, that constitutes 95.9% of all the different plays. Did you notice the pattern there, though? That these outcomes, these scenarios, are the ones that were left off the chart, or the 3 most common outcomes. Why is that? Is it the Powerball people are being deceitful? Do they not want you to win? I don't know. I suspect, I'd love to talk to somebody who works over there, but I suspect what happens is that somebody made the decision that the 3 most common scenarios are not going to win because they need to have the money to feed into the jackpot. Okay, they need some way to fund that big jackpot that they give out every week. So they're funding it by all the people who fit into one of these 3 outcomes. You know, they spend $2. Maybe $1 of it goes into the jackpot, and maybe $1 goes into administrative costs or whatever. I don't know. But they can't be paying everybody out, right? But I think And if that's the case, that's okay. I'm okay with it. My problem is that they don't tell you that. They don't show you all the scenarios that you have and what are the probabilities of winning or not winning. I think they have to be truthful on that. Okay. So I crunched the numbers a little bit more, and I want to show you a really interesting chart that kind of adds on to this one, which is the next two most common outcomes. And if you remember from the previous chart, I bet you could guess which ones they are. Okay, so here we are. I like to call this the losers and chump charts because it really shows who the losers are that play the Powerball and who the chumps are. I consider a chump the person who, pays their $2 and they win a $4 prize and they get all excited. But the truth is, since they originally paid $2, they didn't really win $4. They just won $2. But I guess they get to go around bragging to all their friends that they won the Powerball, the multi-billion-dollar Powerball. Yeah, for $2, big deal. Anyways, but I want to show you something. I was crunching and added a little bit to the chart that I just presented to you. Here at the top of the chart, you see the three most common outcomes of Powerball. And then when I went ahead and I did the next two most common scenarios, and it's the one white ball and one red ball. And yes, according to the Powerball company, you do win $4, really $2, and that occurs 1.1% of the time. And then if you just get one red ball, that happens 2.63% chance of the time. Okay. So when you add all this up, it comes up to 99.7% chance that you're either a loser or you're a chump. Okay, I mean, the odds that you're actually going to win any significant amount of money is very, very small. Now, after this $4 tier, the next tier is $7. Again, not that much money. At least you get to recoup your $2 back. That leaves you with the $5 extra. I suspect that most people just, think $5 isn't a whole lot of money, and I'm just going to play it on next week's lotto. And so they just feed back into the system again, realizing by doing that, they're entering another system that is so statistically against them that they're probably going to lose that $5, right? So, again, this is what I call the losers and chumps chart because it shows that 99.7% of the chance you're going to be a loser and chump. Now, what I started thinking about it is, this is if you were to play the lotto and you were the single winner. You get all this money. You get that big Powerball jackpot of $1.9 billion, which is pretty amazing. But it's actually kind of interesting because there's been several different Powerballs in which there were more than just one winner. There was either somebody who picked a set of numbers, won the grand jackpot, and some random person in another state picked the same number by coincidence, and so now you have multiple winners. You have two people who are going to have to split that big jackpot. Okay, so all of a sudden, multi-billionaire, you just become a single billionaire. It cuts everything in half, and then on top of that, you have to pay taxes. So that's interesting. I might try to run some of those numbers too. So, anyways, I started thinking about this, and yeah. So let's think about what are the chances that somebody is going to have to share this this big pot of money. Okay, so I wasn't able to find any raw data to crunch for you guys, but I did read several papers, and they had a couple of charts that I'd like to share with you. The first one up here on the left-hand side is by Jeremy Elson a few years ago, and he was able to show that it looks like once the advertised jackpot hits about $300 million, ticket sales just increase and they explode exponentially. So we're looking right here. Here on the x-axis is the advertised amount for the jackpot, and it's pretty low, just a few tickets. And then for whatever reason, here between 250 and 300, something clicks in people's brains, and they just become zombies, and they have to go to 7-Eleven and buy their tickets. Got to buy those tickets. And as the weeks go on and the advertised price goes higher and higher and higher, of course, the more number of tickets are sold. Now, what's interesting is that this chart was done a few years ago, so it doesn't even go to 1 billion. It only goes up to 700 million. So I can imagine that this is just off the charts there. Now, of course, if you think about it, what does this mean? That more and more people are buying tickets. So the chance that two random people who've never met, may not even live in the same state, pick the same set of numbers is greatly increased. And we'll get to like how much that might be in a bit. But so that's one scenario. Another scenario that's, I think, more typical, more common is that people who work in offices or in workplaces, they have a buddy who gets together and says, hey, we have 20 people here. If everybody chips in $10, we could buy a whole lot more tickets than if just one person were to try to buy that same number of tickets. So people chip into it. I hope they have a contract. I hope they have a contract that says everybody's going to win an equal amount of money, or some kind of proportion of, depending on how much they chip in or something. But again, the end result is that if they do win that grand prize, they're going to have to split it among all those people in that particular office pool. I did read somewhere unofficially that the range or the number of people in a typical pool ranges between 3 to 7 people. I would assume if you work in a larger manufacturing plant or office or something, you probably have a lot more people. I've heard scenarios of people, groups of 20 people coming together to buy as many tickets as possible to become winners. In theory, that sounds great, but remember, you're going to have to split the final money, the jackpot that you get, by that number of people. Okay, finally here on the bottom, we have another graph. And basically it's, at what point in time is it likely that you will have at least 2 winners? And it's kind of not very intuitive, but the idea is that as the jackpot grows and grows and grows, more and more people are buying tickets. And so you look up here, and this intersection is where you're more likely to see multiple winners. Okay, so once you hit about, let's call that $380 million, the likelihood that you'll have multiple winners is greatly increased. So there is something about that. Hopefully the winners have a contract with their friends. They're going to be nice, and they decide to play fair and divide the money equally and so forth, or according to whatever contract they come up with. But again, that doesn't mean you're an overnight billionaire. Okay, folks, so I just threw this chart together. I'm not a tax person, I'm not an accountant, so this may not be 100% accurate, but I saw a lot of news clips last night and a few days before, leading up to the Powerball drawing. And they were talking about all these taxes that you have to pay off and all these taxes. Well, I'm actually kind of happy, because really those taxes go to the state, and the state uses it for funding their educational programs. And goodness knows we need to be paying our teachers a whole lot more than they're being paid. More money has to be going to improving our curriculums and our actual physical structures of the schools. So I'm happy that everybody has to pay their fair share of these gambling taxes. But let's kind of get an idea as to what we're talking about. So I ran 2 scenarios. I just picked some generic, some percentages. I might come back and revisit this in another video, because I am always interested in taxes and how those numbers come out. But this is just kind of, let's consider these back of the napkin type of calculations. So the first scenario here is if you split your winnings within 4 people. Let's say it's an office pool that you're getting into. There's 4 people and you're one of the 4. And then, of course, what everybody's interested in is what happens if I'm the sole winner of the Powerball? How much taxes do I have to pay? Well, the annuity amount, so the amount that is always advertised is the annuity amount. Okay, that's the big number. And they said the basic contract is if you're willing to spend 3 decades and every year in those 3 decades getting a little bit of money, you will eventually get, almost, well, in this case, $1.9 billion. Okay. Or we're going to give you an option. We're going to give you a lump sum. We're going to give you all that money up front, but you're going to have to take a drastically smaller amount. In this case, it's about $929 million. A lot of people tend to take the lump sum because, who knows what's going to happen 30 years from now. We can have, any number of scenarios happening. The economy can go and crash, or we could be in a war and they decide not to pay out any more of the payments, or whatnot. So a lot of people take that lump sum and they said, well, I could just go ahead and invest that money, and over that same 30-year period, I could probably make a whole lot more money. They're probably correct in that assumption, by the way, too. But they still have to receive the money, and then eventually they have to pay the taxes. So if you get the lump sum in the first scenario and you're splitting it with 4 people, your share is only $232 million. The federal gambling tax, this is just right off the top, no discussion, is 24%. So that goes straight to the federal government. And then they get to come in and dip again once you file your income taxes for that year, because now you're top of the income bracket. You're probably paying around 37%. Depending on when you watch this video, that percentage may fluctuate up and down a little bit, but let's say it's 37%. So that's another $85 million that they're going to take off from your winnings. Then, of course, you have to go from federal taxes to state taxes. State taxes, at least in my state here in Virginia, it's not that bad. It's 5.75. There's a few states that have 0 taxes, and there's some states that have some outrageous amount of taxes. But let's just go with Virginia because I know that the most. It's 5%, so that's another $12 million that is taken away. Now, on top of that, depending on where you live, you may actually even have to pay local tax. In the particular geographic area that I live, I don't have any local tax, but I know less than 10 miles from here, there is a city that does charge local taxes. Luckily, we don't have any here, so I'm just going to put 0. So your final amount, if you have to split it with 3 other of your coworkers, the final amount that you're going to get is just a mere $77 million. So now, yes, that's life-changing, but it's definitely not the $1 billion that you were planning or probably bragging to your friends about. Now, of course, the best scenario, the scenario that everybody dreams about and talks about, is I won the entire amount. Well, let's run through that same exercise. The annuity amount is this amount. Let's say you take the lump sum. That's still the $929. No multiple winners, so you get to keep that entire amount, but then you have to pay federal taxes. Gambling tax right off the bat is $222 million. Income tax another $343 million. State tax $51 million, 0% local tax, and so you end up with $310 million. Okay, so again, life-changing money. I wouldn't mind it a lot, but just keep in mind that this is only going to be a lucky 1 person, maybe 2 people, who are going to be able to take home that kind of life-changing money away from this scenario. Going back to those earlier charts, and you can hit rewind on this video and go review those charts. The most likely scenario is that you're going to play, and 99.99999% of the time, you will be a loser. Okay, just keep that in mind. All right, so you know what, it's kind of getting late. I am going to wrap this up. I hope somebody does win. I hope that they pay their taxes. I hope the schools and whatever government programs are able to benefit from this. It's kind of sad that the majority of people or players will not benefit from this. In fact, they're just throwing away their $2. My advice, or the way I like to think about it, is if you really want to play, just play 1 number. Only spend $2. Don't buy 2 tickets. Don't buy 3 tickets. Yes, it increases your odds, but it's such a small, small, small amount that you're still more likely to lose. Don't get into a pool just because, honestly, you're just throwing away the money. Now, why did you buy just one ticket? Well, think about it. If you buy 0 tickets, you have 0% chance of winning. And that's okay because, those people are going to be the people who take those $2 and actually spend it on something they truly enjoy. But there might be some people who do want to play the Powerball as an entertainment expense. That's fine. But my suggestion is just buy one ticket. Just spend $2. You get to help your school system. You could get to help probably some federal programs. That's great. But don't start dreaming of yachts and mansions and so forth, because more than likely you're going to be a loser or you're going to be a chump, and you're going to have to wake up and go to work the next morning, just like you have to go to work tomorrow or today, whenever you watch this video. All right, folks, I hope this was entertaining. I hope it was fun. I hope you learned a little bit. Let's keep talking about it. Good night. I'll talk to you later.